golf course and what needs to be protected during the winter. When you come out of winter, how do you push things a little bit further along? And I think native grasses are so fickle because if you go in and just seed them in order to get instant establishment, they become unplayable. They become too thick. They don't look right. They all kind of lay over on top of each other. And it becomes one of those things where playability is bad and the visuals are bad. So you just have to be patient. And I know for the seniors, you can still see dirt through the natives. When you look down, from a distance they look great, but when you actually look down from the top, now all of that's gone and we're starting to see the growth underneath to take shape. So, like I said, I would think by 27 we'll be in a better place. I would say probably 29 is when we're really just going to see this place in full bloom.
Last question from me. You said last week watching was really nerve-wracking for you. How different is the experience when it is completely your design and you'll be watching this weekend?
It'll be nerve-wracking. I think, one of the things that we've had, it's very interesting because we live in both worlds of golf architecture. We've got a foot firmly planted in the restoration world, and we've got a foot firmly planted in the new course world. And I think there's less pressure in the new course world because the restoration world, there's a full membership that has expectations and dreams and goals for it, whereas here, the organization that's running the championship is also the one that owns the golf course and is our client. And I think their hope matches our hope in this regard is that we just want to see a great player win. We don't really care what the score is. A lot of major championships, there's a lot of scoreboard watching at different places, and it's appropriate. Obviously everyone's proud of their golf course. Here, I think it's just, let's present a great test. Hopefully we've created a golf course where we're going to inspire them to hit some really interesting shots and find some really creative ways to play the golf holes. Winning score will be what it is. But I think all of us just want a great champion hoisting the trophy on Sunday.
Thanks.
Sure.
Jim?
When you and Jim get a project, what's the difference between doing a Boston Golf Club or is it Cap Rock out in Nebraska?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
To doing this? There were going to be championships here. What are the challenges you guys face then?
Yeah, this project was without a doubt the most complicated golf course we've ever built from the standpoint of the site was challenging because we had to raise everything out of the floodplain down through the areas along Panther Creek. So we had to move a lot more dirt than we normally would like to move. We had a lot of outside of the ropes stuff that we had to think about. Where do you put hospitality? Where do you put score? All the things that go with hosting major championships. And you all know this, but the footprint for hopefully a Ryder Cup here is enormous. You think about the build out outside. So normally Boston Golf Club, we never have to think about, where are you going to put the hospitality tents or where are you going to put the Wanamaker Village? How's the first tee going to set up with grandstands all the way around it for a Ryder Cup? So there were a lot of conversations out with just how do you build the golf course in order to get a golf course that you want to play, which is ultimately the final goal from a members course or even a public golf course that's not going to host major championships. And I was joking with a friend of mine the other day. He asked, what's that golf course like, meaning Fields Ranch East? And I said, well, it's Gil and Jim trying to build a hard golf course. Like, we like to build golf courses that are fun and playable. And there's challenge to them. They're not easy, but they're more focused on fun and creativity. And here we knew that the public perception of this golf course was going to be predicated on the major championships that are held here, right? So if it didn't have a certain level of difficulty, it wouldn't be regarded as a major championship test. So there might be some things that we did that we may have pushed the envelope a little further than we would have at a members course or at a public facility. I'm not saying we deviated 100% from our design philosophy, because I think you can still see a lot of what we believe in width and angles and setup and scruffy looking golf courses. That's still wholly apparent here. But I think we had to look at it through the lens of, this has to be challenging for the best players in the world. We can rely on the wind to a certain degree, but we also have to rely on the challenge that the golf course presents.
Any other questions, Jim?
Just when you took this project on, how much did they have? Okay, you got, Gil, you have so many acres, or was it, give us the best golf course and we'll work from there?
So there was a competition amongst 5 architecture groups, and we were awarded. So this is the plan we came up with. We basically came up with a plan for the clubhouse is going to sit where it sits now. The east course would sit where it was. The west course is going to sit where it sits. And then at the time, it came down to, all right, you guys do 36 holes. And you know as well as anybody, we're not set up to build 36 holes at a time. And so we had to gracefully say, we can't do the west. We can't do 2 golf courses. We just don't have enough people, and we don't feel like we can pay enough attention. And Bo Welling was involved in the golf course process, and he's such a great land planner that they said, Bo can do the west course, which is great. And then we started working and collaborating with Bo on the land plan and how things could work out. He had a ton of good ideas, and we obviously had a lot of input from the PGA of America. We had a lot of input from Omni. I mean, that was the other thing I didn't mention in the construction of this golf course. We had a lot of infrastructure associated with the hotel and the resort. There are amazing pipes underneath this golf course that are taking stormwater from the resort and taking it where it needs to go. So there was a lot of interaction. And then aside from that, we started it in October of 2019, and COVID hit in March. So we're, right during the middle of construction, all of a sudden we've got COVID to deal with. So it was a challenge, but I couldn't be more proud of how, we came through it at the other end.
Jim, you good?
But I guess really to wrap that up with a bow, it's yes, we feel like we built the best golf course we could here. And that was always first and foremost. Like, if they kept asking us to deviate from the quality of the golf course, I think we would have had a harder time. So the golf course kind of got locked in amber, and then everything else had to happen outside of it.
Okay, got it.
Great. Thanks for your time, Gil. We appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Thanks. Cheers.